Well, it's finally here. My ranking of all nine Spider-Man movies, not including Venom and its sequel. I mean, I know, yeah, it's the character, but then why doesn't anyone rank all the Batman movies with Joker? I don't know. I'm just gonna focus on Spider-Man movies in general. And I know I've said that I was going to do a Jingle All the Way review. That's what I was planning on doing, but that kind of had to cancel with some stuff with school. And also, I was going to do a Spielberg top 10 list, but I actually think I'm going to cancel that with because now he has a planned other movie for right next year, and maybe I might do something with that. So I'm going to postpone that video. But now I am just going to rank all nine Spider-Man movies since the new one came out. And it's the first pre-COVID movie to actually crack billions of dollars, not including Sorcerer's Stone. But anyway, let's get into it with 9 and 8, because I think these movies are both bad in the different ways. But here you go, 9 and 8. So for the bottom two movies, I decided to just combine these together because they're just both bad again. Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry. So yeah, it's not really surprising why I pair these movies together, because they have a lot in common. They had a lot of studio trouble with Sony basically pushing the director to include these subplots, these villains in there, and the director having a miserable time making it, too many villains, and that's really it. These movies are both pretty much messes. I think Spider-Man 3 is just overall worse, just because it's just so cringy and everything just feels like thrown in there. But unlike Amazing Spider-Man, where it's a mess, but it's a mess where there is a connection to all of this, to the plot. And that's why I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 over Spider-Man 3. It feels like less messy, but still bad, with a lot of just bad acting from the villains. Like I said, all three of them are really bad. It's just surprisingly for the really good actors like Paul Giamatti and Jamie Foxx, who are just both bad. Like, just what happened, guys? But I just think overall these movies, they're both messes, but they're not that bad. They're just these letdown movies that just make me cringe. Alright, number 7. So, the Tom Holland movies of Spider-Man are definitely similar to how the Daniel Craig movies of Bond play out, where Casino Royale and Spider-Man Homecoming are great refreshers to these franchise, with new ideas, new stuff original stuff that was never brought to this franchise, and it still keeps the character to its core. And Skyfall No Way Home is a great tribute to to the lore of Spider-Man and James Bond, and they do a great job with that. But then you get to Far From Home, and it's like Quantum of Solace, where it's this rushed, very uninspired, dull movie that films Italy in a very bland and uninspiring way. But I know, yeah, Far From Home is a way more watchable movie than Quantum of Solace is. But I just still think Far From Home just feels rushed. Like they just had to get a Spider-Man movie out, or just a Marvel movie for the July release date, and it just comes off as so rushed out, and not a lot of effort was put into it by John Watts, and it's just such a bland movie. For a movie that takes place in Europe, Spider-Man in Europe should be fun, but it isn't fun. It just blands, and everything with Mysterio is bland. Like, it's just another guy who's duped by Stark, and it's just the most cliche thing, because it's like, oh, it's this guy who, Tony, ripped off his idea, and it's an army of people who worked for Stark, and that also includes Ralphie from A Christmas Story, who explained was that guy that Jeff Bridges yells at in the first Iron Man. it's so corny, and it's just like it's such a letdown. It's such a letdown, and this is just, it has a lot of great ideas, but it's an overall letdown for this movie. And yeah, I just, every time I watch it, like, I want to like it more, but I end up not liking it. It's just a disappointing Spider-Man movie overall. All right, now on to number 6. Yeah, I know Amazing Spider-Man is not perfect, but I think but compared to Far From Home and this, Amazing Spider-Man just has a lot and brings a bit more to the table than you really think. Yeah, it has another generic villain who has a more generic plot just to turn everyone into a lizard, but it does bring a lot of stuff, especially everything with Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Yeah, his death is really, really dumb. It's not played out well. They really just should have stick to the comics in a way, or just at least do something where Peter is responsible for his death. And but overall, I think Martin Sheen and Sally Field do a really good job. Sally Field is definitely probably the best interpretation of Aunt May. No offense to Rosemary Harris or Marissa Tomei, and Rosemary Harris being more of like the comic accurate Aunt May, and she's really good. But Sally Field definitely is better and really feels like a realistic Aunt May. But yeah, and Gwen Stacy, who was definitely kind of seen as this bland character, was now more fun and likable, and definitely, Mark Webb really did put an emphasis on Peter's like life as Peter Parker. I think that was really good. It's definitely like it was a very unnecessary reboot, and it is definitely just kind of like interesting to see how these movies just sit in between these great trilogies. And now, since they're going to be coming back to it, I'm very on the fence about this because everyone is kind of like saying Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be great, with Garfield coming back. I mean, yeah, but again, Amazing Spider-Man, it does, like, the fact that it's about Peter's parents just kind of makes me a little iffy about it because that's just not Peter Parker. And I hope they do something interesting. I like the idea that, I mean, maybe they could do something like an alternate timeline thing with basically where both the Stacys don't die. So I'm definitely somewhat interested if they might go that route. But for now, Amazing Spider-Man movies, they're definitely seen as like these misfires, but I think they definitely had a lot of good stuff to them, especially just overall. Garfield, who was definitely a very good Spider-Man. Alright, now on to number 5, where the movies, where I count all these movies to be really good Spider-Man movies, and when it comes to these are the good, like, this is what I think of when it comes to Spider-Man. So like I said before, Homecoming is like basically the Casino Royale of Spider-Man. It's it's a refresher from stuff that we've seen from like Spider-Man before. No origin story at all. Superheroes within a universe. It mostly takes place in just Queens, not in New York City at all. And it definitely really does work. And the fact that it takes his high school comedy John Hughes route is really good and funny at first. It was really good when they did it first. And it really just is a good Spider-Man movie that really just brings Spider-Man as as the street level superhero, and it really depicts him that well, even though he's wearing a very high tech suit. But it's just a really solid Spider-Man movie that's really funny. This is definitely the funniest Spider-Man movie, this and Spider-Verse. And it does have probably the best Spider-Man villain outside of the Raimi films, with Michael Keaton as the Vulture is really great. And who knows whatever the hell is the thing with Morbius. But anyway, I do really love Homecoming. It is such a great refresher to the Spider-Man franchise after 5 movies of just the exact same location and things, but now seeing it do something different was pretty breakthrough. Alright, number 4.
Time to swing. Just
I know what you're thinking. Why Spider-Verse? I mean, before I get to No Way Home, this definitely was I would say this is the best Spider-Man movie that's not the first two Raimi movies. Because I still think this movie is really great. The animation is probably it's the best animated movie in a while since, like, probably the Lego movie, since it's by the same people who made the Lego movie. It's that good, and it's a good movie, one of those animated movies that comes along, like this and Soul recently, that just shows that these animated movies can be deep, philosophical, and have a lot of meaning to it. It doesn't do a lot good with Miles Morales for a movie that introduces him. It's really great, and just the characters and the humor, it's all phenomenal. It is a really great movie, but I think after No Way Home coming out, this movie kind of this movie feels weird in comparison, because the movie, it feels like it's a tribute to Spider-Man and to the Spider-Verse stuff. I really do like it all. And I mean, but I think overall, like, the movie just kind of ends up feeling like a love letter, where No Way Home kind of feels more like I'm watching a serious movie. I know this sounds weird, like what I'm trying to really say, but I think it's still good, but I think No Way Home might have done it better, just because of one specific reason. But anyways, again, these top 5 I think are like Spider-Man at its best. But yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, it's a great Spider-Man movie, alright? Please. I'm not hating on this movie. Alright, now for 3 and 2, which is obvious what I'm doing with 3 and 2. Spider-Man from 2002 and its sequel, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I can't decide for this one. They're both great. I just have to just keep saying, after just rewatching these two movies, and specifically the first one, and just know how much development hell was into this movie. The people, the producers, and the filmmakers that went through, the strange ideas they had, what they were going to do to this character, and to then finally be given to Sam Raimi himself, it just turned out gold at the end. These two movies are just amazing films that deserve the title The Amazing Spider-Man, and I just can't say that much. It's just it's this perfect set of movies, and it is just so hard to decide what I like better. Like Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2, it's so hard. It's so hard to figure out what I like better. I mean, they're all great. They have great villains, great plot, great characters. It's just hard. And it's just because Sam Raimi is one of the best directors making superhero movies, and it just works. Overall, I just think it all came, these were movies that were in development hell, and they came out great at the end. And so, yeah. But after seeing this movie coming out, things have changed. Even though I still really like these movies and the last, two that I talked about. But this new one, which you all know what number 1 is. So now, as I'm here, the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, is actually the best one. And I know there's so much heated debate if this is truly the best one, which IMDb actually agrees with me. But anyway, I think just the fact, and I should just say spoilers, because you're just going to click off right now. Okay. Seeing Maguire and Garfield with Holland is just kind of something I've always wanted to see, and it really does work. This movie, the hype was definitely worth it. Seeing them together is really great, And I just, honest to God, can't believe how good this movie turned out. After a really dud of a second movie, this film really just is such a great love letter and tribute to Spider-Man and to the lore itself, and really goes down into Spider-Man and just how it ends off Spider-Man. With the most depressing ending it can be, it has such great build-up for a new series of movies. And I definitely am excited for it. I'm definitely interested to see what happens to Spider-Man in the future of the MCU. It is definitely interesting on how it goes. I know, yeah, Sam Raimi films are still great, but I definitely will admit, if we are really gonna get serious, and yeah, Sam Raimi was definitely goofy, but this movie really is definitely has a lot more, and it feels like it really is teaching Spider-Man something, and it really just it almost kind of feels like this whole thing really was this whole origin story that was leading up to Spider-Man. And so, yeah, that's really it. No Way Home is the best Spider-Man movie. And I know we got the Across the Spider-Verse and pretty much more with Venom on the way. But, yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home, the best Spider-Man movie. So there you guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I will be working on my top of the top list of the year of 2021. Stay tuned for that and first viewing, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.